In the earlier part of the 1990s, there was a style of bass enclosure that everyone seemed to want. It was made from a company called Bazooka tube. And yes, this was a bass tube. But whatever happened to bass tubes? Nowadays, nearly every major manufacturer offers some type of bass tube. But what is a bass tube? In short, a bass tube is a subwoofer placed inside a cylindrical shape opposed from that of the traditional square or rectangle shape. But the cylindrical shape of the bass tube is supposed to assist in better bass response. In layman's terms, they're supposed to be a lot more efficient because they eliminate the corners that rectangular enclosures have, in which standing waves may occur. Another pro to having a bass tube is their size. Typically, they're a lot smaller than their squared counterpart. In our case, we chose to go with an MTX bass tube. This is the 8PT. This is from their Road Thunder lineup. This is an 8-inch active subwoofer enclosure, meaning that it has its own amplifier. As you guys can see, MTX did a pretty good job with the internal packaging of this. This cavity here actually have all the accessory that you're gonna need in order to get up and running with this. This seems to be your connecting harness, and we have more of this cardboard insulation here. So this is the bass tube itself. It is wrapped in plastic. I did rip it, it wasn't ripped already. And it does have corner bracing on the inside as well. So this is always good to see on a product such as this, because sometimes these things can get a bit bumped around during shipping. And I have had issues with magnets and things of that nature coming loose, broken baskets, all that can happen. For the measurements of this, you have 23 inches in width, you have a little bit over 11 inches in depth, and you have about 12 inches in height. In case you guys are planning to pick up one of these things on your own, now you know what the packaging look like. This is the bass tube itself. Once again, it comes in this plastic, which protects it from the elements. And here we are. MTX, I think, did a pretty good job on the visuals of this. It has that traditional raised lettering right there on the concave dust cap. The red, white, and black. It does provide a good contrast and a nice look. And they chose to go with a light gray carpet here with the MTX audio stitched right into this carpet. Very, very nice. I like this. It looks like a good quality stitch job here on the enclosure. So as far as cosmetics go, it gets a thumbs up from me. At the rear of the bass tube is where you would find the amplifier. Of course, this is an active bass tube, meaning that it has its own amplifier built in. Once again, MTX Audio do a great job at the way that they present their product. This is a brushed metal finish. To the left here, you have your high level input followed by your EBC port or your bass remote port. It has low level inputs as well via RCA. These are two and they both are line in. There is no line out. You also have your gain control there. Your low pass filter as well. It filters from 50 Hertz all the way up to 200. Further to the right, you have your power input. That's your 12 volt remote and ground. And last but not least, we have your fuse right here on the end. And the packaging does contain an extra fuse, which is always great to have extra hardware here. Next up, we're going to be taking a look inside of the port. As you guys can tell from the look of, from this angle right here, the inside of the port is actually carpeted. I wasn't expecting that. And once again, if you guys wanted to check out any more information on it, here's the barcode. Maybe you can Google that. But for now, what we're gonna do is take the panel off and see what's inside of this bass tube. What does the amp board look like? All right, here's a top-down view, and I'm not gonna even pretend to be an amplifier guru or anything like that. Maybe Big D Wiz is watching over there from Derek Wilson's Audio Lab. Maybe he can tell us what all this stuff is. But the main thing that I noticed is that the subwoofer connections are right here on the board. and that gives us opportunity to go in here and test some things out. One thing I want to point out here is that, in my opinion, I think they took up a lot of space for the amp board. I don't think that it's justified as much space they took up for the amp board. I think this could have been used to actually tune the bass tube a little bit lower, but hey, maybe that wasn't the objective for them. But I wanted to get this off of here so that we can actually go in and inspect the bass tube a little bit further. And come to find out, this is an automotive grade carpet on here. It's just a felt material, pretty much the same stuff I use from Hobby Lobby. Now that we look at the amp board, let's take a look at the subwoofer and see exactly what it looks like. Okay, so right now we're over here on MTX's website, and a quick search for Road Thunder over here in their search bar will give you the results of an assortment of items that you can buy over here under the Road Thunder lineup. And one of these items that you can get is this 8-inch Road Thunder subwoofer. Now, what I want you guys to understand about this subwoofer right here is that this is not going to be the subwoofer that you get installed inside of the bass tube. I mean, not as far as the one that I received anyway. The one that I received, it was a lot more lacking in quality than the one that you see here displayed. As you can tell, this is a single 4-ohm voice coil, and it's 200 watts RMS. Keep in mind that the bass tube is only 120 watt RMS amplifier, which wouldn't be a bad thing to put a 200 watt subwoofer inside of here, but why when you don't really need to? Another thing you would notice is that the one here on the website is actually advertised to have venting in the basket. It has push terminals. The basket is a more open basket design. I don't know if this is stamped steel or not. This doesn't really look to me like a stamped basket. It looks like a cast aluminum basket, but I may be wrong about that. It does have a single slug magnet on here, and to be honest with you, the magnet and the dust cap seems to be the only two things that these two have in common. Aside from that, the basket is different, the push terminals are different, and I can't really tell from looking at the spider assembly or the voice coil if they are different. But if it has a higher RMS handling rating, then it's probably a different voice coil altogether. Just, buyer beware, not negatively or anything like that. I'm just pointing out some stuff that I found. So beware if you're over here on the website shopping around and you're thinking that you're gonna get this 200 watt RMS subwoofer. You're not getting that. The one that you get inside the box is a little bit different. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, I wanted to take a look on the inside of this. As you guys can see, there's more of the felt material. This time it's black felt material that they're using as some type of acoustic deadening for the inside of it. And all I can say about this is it's better than not having anything in there at all. This works. I've done this myself. You guys have seen this on previous videos that I've posted on the channel, where I would just take some additional felt material from the boxes I wrap, and I would just stuff the tubes with them. Depending on what the software calls for, you can take a particular density of material and put something in there. Just keep those waves from bouncing around and resonating your enclosure. Right now, what you guys are looking at is some of the hardware that came packaged with the bass tube. There's that 10 amp fuse that we all talked about earlier. They give you an additional that one. There's an Allen wrench in there for the screws that are included, which is kind of weird because those are Phillips. But the amplifier does have Allen screws to it. I believe the Phillips ones are for the bass knob that you're looking at now, the cable for. So it has a telephone style wire connectors for the bass controlled, and we like that for the remote because it's hard for those to come out. These are the high level input wires that you would need if you want to connect these directly to the speaker outputs in your doors or deck. These would be for your high level that's on the amplifier. And this is what the bass remote looks like right here. On the bottom of it, I don't know why they have the potentiometer exposed like that, but this is the design that they went for. Maybe it's a cooling factor that they're trying to compensate for, but yeah, this is what it looks like. This is all metal construction, and the potentiometer, when you turn the dial, is very, very sturdy. It's not one of those infinity turnstiles. No, it turns from like 180 degrees to the right and left, and that's it. It does not turn the amplifier off. So right now what you're looking at is the user manual that came with it. This also contains some warranty information that you're gonna want to keep on hand. And of course, there's some MTX audio self-marketing information. So another thing they have in here are these straps right here. The straps are very important because this is a cylindrical shape enclosure, and it will roll all around on you. So don't do like I did when I first got a bass tube back in the day. I hooked the thing up so happy, rode around, made a couple blocks, and all I can hear in the trunk is this thing just rolling all around. And I didn't know what it was until I had no sound. And went back there and had to reconnect everything after strapping it down, of course. Right here, I'm giving you guys a side-by-side comparison of what I just uninstalled from my car, which is a 10,000 watt amp. And here you go. Look at the difference between the power inputs on these things. That one over there takes basically 2-aught cable. And yeah, we're going with 12 gauge wire right here. That's all that's needed for this little guy, because it's only 120 watts, and that's plenty of copper for 120 watts, even though it obviously have 10 to 8 gauge terminals on this thing, which is a bit excessive. Even for the remote wire, they have like a 10 gauge terminal right there. So what I'm doing right now in this shot is I'm bench testing. I'm prepping to bench test this guy. So of course, when you do that without a head unit, you're gonna want to use a jumper. So the remote is directly jumped to the 12 volt constant, and we're gonna be using our Power Max in order to power this thing up. And for all of those who are wondering, this is the Power Max PM120LK. The 120 indicates that this is a 120 amp power supply unit. And of course, we're not gonna need that for this, but it does have 3 stages in which it can operate. One of the stages is actually indicative of a car operation, to be honest with you, meaning that it's variable in between 13 and 14.4 volts. And then you have your fixed voltage that you can set, which I have used here at 14 volts. So the amplifier is going to be seeing a constant 14 volts, and we're going to be running a few tests here with it in a minute. As you guys can see, we're sitting strong at 14 volts, and now we're going to proceed on seeing exactly what does this little plate amplifier do for the 8-inch subwoofer that it has installed. The first thing we want to do is actually take another look at the speaker terminals that are located on the amplifier board. And the reason that this is important is because we want to be able to set the gains on this amplifier, and the best time to do it is now, because if you want to properly do it, you're not going to be able to do it once you install it in the car, because everything is concealed internally. So we're going to go about the proper way of doing it, and we're going to connect this to an oscilloscope. So right now what you just seen me do is I connected the speakers to the amp board, and in order to send signal to the amplifier, we're going to be using a handheld device, which is a smartphone, and we're going to be using this RCA to 3.5 millimeter headphone jack to do so. Now keep in mind that the tablet that I'm using it does not distort. This is a Samsung tablet, so it is of quality. And typically you can turn these things all the way up without distorting, but that varies across manufacturers. Okay, so what I want to share with you guys right now is the formula to find the voltage, right? To find the voltage, you're going to have to type in this little bit of formula, little bit of math. It's the square root of your resistance times the power. We know that the power is going to be 120, and we know that the resistance of the subwoofer is going to be 4 ohms. So 4 times 120 is 480. We're going to find the square root of that, which is 21.9, and we're going to round it up to 22 volts. So when we come here and we run our test, we're going to be testing for that voltage. First thing is first, we want to actually get a 40 hertz test tone going through the amplifier, since this is a subwoofer amplifier, and we're going to have our Lumi actually tell us what that voltage is, and then we're going to look at the oscilloscope that's built into this device and see if we got a clean curve or not. Right here I'm adjusting the gains, went a little bit past it, and I'm going to try to settle until I can get to that 22 and make certain that everything is, the amplifier is happy with it. It's not going into protect or anything like that. So right now we got the voltage that we want. We're going to look at the display, and that's what our curve look like. This is our sine wave. Okay, a sine wave is supposed to cycle smoothly upwards and downwards. You should not have any flat tops on this thing, okay? And the Lumi is showing us that. You know, we have relatively smooth curves on the up and down sweep, and this is what you don't want. So I purposely turned it all the way up to 27 volts, and you see what happens. That's what happens when you clip your signal. So when they're saying you're clipping, they're actually talking about you're clipping the tops off of your curves there. Your sine waves are being clipped, and at that point you pretty much got sawtooth waves. You don't want that. So we're going to adjust this thing back down to 22 volts. And there you are. You got a very clean sine wave right there at 40 hertz. And if you guys are wondering just how much power this thing is putting out, we got the SMD AMM1 connected to it, and we're going to be sending that same 40 hertz test tone through it, and we're going to turn it up, and we're going to see what the dyno has to say about it. What is this little plate amplifier actually giving us with this subwoofer, I should say. All right, so we're going to slowly increase the gain here, and as you guys can see, the watts are climbing. The bass knob is maxed out, and that's all I got out of it was 61 watts. Now I know that there are some of you are wondering, is this thing really putting out any power right here, or significant power? And as you guys can see, at 61 watts, it is moving some air right now. What's killing this capability of putting out 120 watts is the fact that the impedance is rising so much. So turning up the gain won't do nothing but clip the signal. And the AMM1 is going to show you that. And I'm going to show you guys in this next test right here. So clipping, turning the gain knob up is not a good thing. It's not a volume button, okay? This is all about voltage. It's all about science. And you guys are going to see that right now you're sitting at almost 6 ohms of impedance. And I'm going all the way up to what I got at first, which is around at 60 watts. And what happens? It go to clip. Why? Because I'm steady turning the gain control. That does you no good. It only burns up your driver. You don't want to send your driver dirty clip signals. It's just going to burn them up. So hopefully you guys can look at this and get some value out of it and know why it is not good to clip your signal, okay? So once again, don't clip it. It's a small amp. On any amp, don't clip it, okay? Take it up with a clean signal and leave it there. If you want more output, get a better amplifier. Okay, right now it's time to get everything buttoned back up because we're about to put this thing in the Impala and see what it can really do. Fun fact, the first patent for a subwoofer was received in 1964 by a Raymond Duns of El Cerrito, California. But it was over 20 years later when an engineer named David Profit designed the bass tube system for Bazooka mobile audio brand. Bazooka Mobile Audio is actually a product line owned by Southern Audio Services. This is an American electronics manufacturer based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The company was founded in 1983 by a John Jordan, and it was pretty much a producer of home audio loudspeakers. But it was in 1985, only 2 years later, that they collaborated with David Profit, and this helped to design Bazooka's bass tube systems. Bazooka products actually received some awards for print and online publications, including Innovations Magazine and Edmunds. Alright, so as you guys can see, I'm back in the Impala, and what we're going to be doing now is testing the bass tube. That's the MTX bass tube, and it's a little 8-inch, sitting in the trunk right now. Man, that trunk's never looked so empty. But we're going to see what this little guy does. I don't really expect it to register, to be honest with you. This is the in the kit right now, you have the mini bass meter by SPL Labs, and the thing about the bass meter is that it only registers anything greater than 120 decibels. I'm not certain if that little guy can actually put out that many decibels, but we're gonna see, right? So let me turn my AC off. That's one thing. And what we're going to be doing next is running a bass sweep to see if it registers and at what frequency. Alright, so the bass sweep is going to be from 150 hertz all the way down to 20 hertz. This is going to be a 30-second sweep. And the importance of the bass sweep is to see at what value this subwoofer peaks inside of the cabin of this vehicle, because it's going to be different from vehicle to vehicle. Placement of subwoofer, all those things affect the cabin peak, and we want to know that cabin peak so we can put full power through it. But right now we're gonna run the bass sweep, and we're gonna see exactly how this little guy does. It's running on his own power, so we don't have to adjust anything at this point. Just send some power through it. Bass sweeps are always done at very low volume. I'm gonna put it around a quarter of the way, and then I'm gonna hit play. Alright, let's see what we got. We have a 123.9. 123.9, but that is not the metric that we want. I can't believe that it registered. To be honest with you, I'm genuinely shocked that it registered. So let's see at what frequency that registered at. Come here. Don't disconnect. Let's see. Mode. 50 hertz. No surprise there. So we're going to slide this on up to 50. It's still rolling. And let's see what it does now. 50 hertz. We got a 124. I'm surprised it did that, guys. I'm telling you guys, I'm not playing. I wasn't even expecting it to do that. So to get a 124 out of this, to me it's good, because it's not even made for this. It's made just to, you know, supplement the bass that's lacking from a car. And I don't even think it was meant to be in a trunk that big. But anyway, let's see what it sounds like on music. Alright, so the first track is called Goodie Bags. Got some good bass drops in here. I want to see what it sounds like. I'm going to start with the bass knob turned all the way down. I'm just going to increase it as we go. See if you guys can tell the difference. All right, that was pretty cool. Let's go to the next one. This one here is called My Turf. All these are on Epidemic Sound, in case you guys are wondering where to go get these. I don't really know these artists, but support the artists. Go to Epidemic Sound and check them out. Next up is My Turf. Alright, that was pretty cool. Let's go to the next one. The next one is going to be called Ticket Scam. Ticket Scam by Dalen Sits. Alright, that was pretty fun. I had it moving pretty good. Let's go to the next one. No Glory. This is a slow one here. Let's see what this looks like. The beats are kind of dynamic in this one though. Alright, so let's do one more for the road. We got Power Chord by Dylan Sits again. Dylan Sits. Alright guys, I think that's a pretty fun little demo. Let you guys see what this guy's all about on music. Alright, so let's go over this. Let's review what we just did. Alright, so we did what we always do. We bass swept it. We're seeing where it peaked at in this cabin, which is 50 hertz, which is pretty much the same thing it did on the bench. But it didn't do well SPL wise because it's so small. I mean, this is an 8-inch driver. It only has so much air to compress and make sound with, right? But where this guy shines is actually playing music in the car, which is what it's designed to do. Play music, add some bottom end to your environment, and that's exactly what it did. It took the low end frequencies, amplified them enough so that I'm happy with it. I mean, for all that it's worth, for all intents and purposes, it's doing its job. So if you're in the market for something like this and you kind of want a little bit of nostalgia, there you go. Bass tube, baby. You know, bass tube. Just make sure you keep the strap down. Leave a comment in the sections below. Would this be something that you would install in your vehicle? If not, let us know in the comment section. And if so, we definitely want to hear that. Till next time, it's the Budget Basshead, and I'm out. Thanks for visiting the channel to help you simplify car audio. It's the Budget Basshead, and I'm out.